Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is Streaming Idiots, a very special edition of Streaming Idiots. It's not just any time that we do an evening appearance. So if you're watching us in the US, it's somewhere between 4 and 7 o'clock. If you're watching us from Nepal, it's 4:45 in the morning. Thank you for watching, Prashada. If you're watching us live, come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com. If you're not watching us from there, that way you can get it on the chat. We're not monitoring the chat in Facebook or in YouTube or in Periscope or Twitter. So come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com. Plus, that's where the highest quality feed is. If you've got the bandwidth, we're sending 1080p. Not that you need to see me at 1080p, but we've got some pictures here coming up in just a few minutes that you'll want to see. Before we have our special guest, Zac Adams with Cruise Week TV on, you remember Zac is the one that not only was #1 in the category in the streaming awards of #1 producer, but his show Cruise Week TV won the overall award in streaming, the streaming awards. So we'll have him on in just a minute to talk about that. It's a ton of fun. And they did a really great job. But a couple of announcements here about this show. First, I guess we better do the disclaimer that this is a giant infomercial. Mostly info, but a little commercial, as somebody was telling me today. Eastern Shore Broadcasting is the producer of the show. And I am the president of Eastern Shore Broadcasting and the chief bottle washer. And what we do is we design and build PCs for folks that are doing live streaming to your specifications. We also have available some of the more difficult to find piece parts that go into a live stream production, and we know those piece parts intimately. We represent Magewell and PTZ Optics and PI Engineering with the X keys, and of course vMix, which is the heart of all of our live streams. We've got one line that we're talking real seriously with some folks, actually 2 lines that we're talking real seriously with the folks about bringing on, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. That's in the optics area, so that's always going to be neat, and I think we may have an announcement next week about that. The other thing is that if you're thinking about live streaming or you've started live streaming and things just aren't working the way you wanted them to, we do coaching. So if you need some coaching, if you've got an area that you need some troubleshooting in, that's what we do. Come to easternshorebroadcasting.com and click the coaching tab and set an appointment. You can do all that online. It keeps my schedule there so that we can determine a good time, or you can determine a good time for you, knowing that it's already a good time for me. And we're delighted to assist with that. If you have a quick question, and I'm talking about just a quick question, something you just can't get, and you need a freebie, call us. Our number is on the website. Our phone number, yes, you can get an actual phone number on the website. You can also use the contact form and shoot us an email. So there are lots of different ways to get a hold of us. So we would be delighted. We'd also be delighted if you joined our Facebook group right down here at the bottom. Facebook.com/groups/Streaming Idiots. And there is a conversation going 24/7 on Streaming Idiots with folks all over the world who are chiming in with their problems and their concerns and their successes in live streaming. A lot of great sharing going on. Folks are very willing to help. The group now numbers over 800. I'm amazed. When Jan Lind and Marie and I started that, well, they started it. It hasn't even been a year. It's only been 8 months ago. We were hoping that we might get 50 people by the end of the year, and so this has far exceeded our expectations. So we welcome you to join us. Just go to facebook.com/groups/Streaming Idiots and click on the little join button, I guess is what it is. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can also subscribe. All right, so now we got all the business out of the way. My guest tonight, Zac Adams, is the winner, as we mentioned, of the 2017 Streaming Awards for Best Production, Best Produced Show, and also was the #1 vote getter, and so was the overall award winner. And as a result, the sponsor of the show, PTZ Optics, gave them a brand new PTZ Optics camera. And they have got all sorts of exciting things that they plan to do. Well, don't let me tell you about it. Let me bring Zac in on the show. Zac, are you there? There we go. I muted me instead of
Okay,
turning
let's
you
try
on.
that again.
There
Can you hear
we
me?
go. Yes. Yes, we can hear you, Zach.
Right. Hey,
Welcome.
everybody.
Welcome.
Thanks,
Zach,
Tom. It's great to be with you.
we're delighted to
Yeah,
have
I
you.
am usually, it's weird because I am in front of a camera. Usually I am the one behind the camera pushing the buttons.
Yep. Yep. Well, you're
Uh,
doing fine.
but,
You're doing fine.
but we're talking tech, so I mean, that will bring me out because I absolutely love technology.
Let's start at the beginning, though. Where did live streaming, where were you when live streaming first got on your radar?
Oh, I have been bouncing around playing with live streaming since cameras were around on the internet. Like I said, I absolutely love technology, and live streaming was something that I've played around with on and on for probably about 10 years or more
Hmm.
now. I mean, mine and your paths crossed way back in the VidBlaster days when
Yes.
I was trying to put together another show that never actually got off the ground. But I've got the VidBlaster and I was playing around and I got the technology. So I have a lot of stuff in the studio or my office actually. This is where I work normally. So it's a dual function, probably a little like yours. Um, and then of course, along came Cruiserweek TV, which happened purely by accident. You know, the best things just happen by accident.
Tell me.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a case with Cruiserweek TV. I had a bunch of friends that were going on a cruise, and they're like, "Oh, you should film it." I'm like, "Nah, we can do better than that. Filming, that's so 1980s. Let's live stream this from a ship in the middle of the Caribbean. What could possibly go wrong,
No
right?"
problem.
So, yeah, easy. Couple of cameras, couple of that. Well, of course, this is this is about a year ago now. So the internet has caught up quite a bit, but it was still a little bit of a challenge. The biggest challenge was when we approached the cruise line and basically said, "Hey, we're just asking permission, can we do this?" And their answer was, "Heck no, absolutely not. Wait, you want us to let you run around the ship with a live camera where we cannot control and have no input as to what we are streaming out?" I'm like, "Yep, exactly." Anyway, so it took a lot. I don't take no for an answer easily. So I'm like, "Look, this is a really good idea. I know this will work. You've just got to have a little bit of faith with us." And of course, I'm not some big production company or anything like that. I don't have anything at that point to really show them. I've just got, this is a concept. I
Right.
know it'll work. So eventually, after a lot of work, it took about 6 months of going backwards and forwards with the
Wow.
corporate office. Now you've got to remember, this time it's Carnival. So you're talking about a global corporation. And there's little me going, "I want to do this." Even though you would never normally allow it, let me do it. Eventually, somebody like, just probably to shut me up, was like, "Let them do it." So I had my friends who had never been on a cruise before. When we live stream the whole trip, from getting ready to going on the ship to Spencer losing his bags, Spencer not being in the cabin almost every night until the last night, and there's just a big pile of junk that everybody on the cruise was stopping him and telling him to clean up. Because we had by about quarter of the way through the cruise, we had half the ship watching on their phones. So we are live streaming this as close to 24/7 as we could. We're following the guys around. We're just documenting this whole aspect of being brand new on a cruise, not knowing what they're doing. And then we turned it around where the guys would then show everybody what they've learned during this 7 days and take a tour of the ship and point out all the things and all the mistakes they've made and learned. And we had the guests also jump in with their tips and tricks to try and help the people. So anyway, it was a good success. And so we came back really stoked, a lot of video that we'd recorded at the same time, a lot of people watching, including, of course, a lot of people at Carnival. And they said, "Hey, that worked out really good. If you want to do it again, you have our blessing." So we're like, "Great, we can't let this opportunity go to waste. We've got something here." So, of course, it takes a little while to build up money for the next cruise. And in the meantime, we're like, "Well, what do we do?" And one of the guys on the cruise, my friend Matt, was really good in front of the camera. I'm like, Matt, we got to do like a weekly show. We got to do like a weekly cruise show. But you know nothing about cruising. I've been on like 2 cruises by that point. So I basically know nothing. How on earth are we going to do a cruise show about cruising when we know nothing? I'm like, let's just do that and let that be our angle. A show about cruisers from people that don't know how to cruise. But the key was we would bring in guests who did, and then we'd all learn together. So that's what we did. And our first show, I brought in a guest that had a very big cruise Facebook group. So she had nearly 100,000 people. So of course, consequently, that very first show, because she'd advertised it on her group, brought in nearly 20,000 people and kicked the show off. And we haven't looked back since.
That's the way to start.
Where it is, and we've grown to where we've added people. We've added a second host so that Matt can get a bit of a break on weekends. He's not having to do it every single week. And Joe, who's our other host, can focus now on Royal Caribbean. So Matt handles Carnival stuff. Joe does Royal Caribbean. And then we've got co-hosts we've brought on as well. And of course our guests. And we've even had people within the cruise industry approach us and say, hey, can we do something here with you? So we've had Jess, who was the cruise director on the Carnival Triumph, and every second week she sends me some video behind the scenes and stuff like that. She does it every second week because Wi-Fi is so bad on her ship. It takes about 2 weeks to get the video on.
Oh my goodness.
So,
oh my goodness. That is
that's
too
grown.
fun.
And then I've been on several more cruises since then. And one of the beauty of the thing is that, like I said, I absolutely love tech. So I try and push the boundaries. I try and say, okay, what can we do that's never been done before? What can we do that might be absolutely crazy, but if it works, it will be really cool. So one of the cruises we did, why don't we do a 24/7 cabin cam? And I designed this camera with magnets on because the walls are actually metal under the facade. So I just clip this thing up and run it through a computer, and we have this 24/7 cabin cam. And it was great because they got to watch the cabin stewards do all the cleaning and stuff like that, and we had the cabin steward in on it. So he would like cover the camera for a few moments and make like a towel animal and then uncover the camera. It was great. Everyone was loving that. And just doing a lot of live streaming. It's had its issues. It's had its issues trying to sometimes get the signal out or working within the ship's systems because it's not really designed for this. Yeah, we're having fun trying, seeing what we can do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, tell me about some of what goes on behind the scenes for your weekly show, because I know you've got some really cool stuff that you've put together.
Oh yeah, I got to tell you, it's a lot more work than I originally thought. I'm like, okay, a weekly show, not a problem. Whenever you've got guests coming in and Tom's like, we understand, finding guests, booking guests, making sure that they have internet, and again, going through problems. I'm sometimes dealing with guests on little Caribbean islands, and I'm like, do you have high-speed internet? Oh, yes, man. We got the highest speed internet of the island, man. Yeah, 2G. I'm working with technology like that and trying to put it together. So it takes me, I usually start on the show on a Tuesday, and it takes me through Saturday to put it all together and build everything up. And I put together a lot of equipment, a lot of kind of toys to improve what I can do. I'll show you a couple of pictures here. So this is a shot almost as you would normally see from the camera point of view. This is Matt, that's one of our hosts sitting there, and that is our studio. Now, the back wall is actually actually right behind here, there is a big window with a comforter under it. And then what I've done behind here is, this is the Halloween decorations you can buy at Halloween. There were strips of the vinyl, and I've hung that to make a wall. So that's what I've done with that. And then, of course, this is Joe. He's our other host there. And you can see I put the set all the way up to the ceiling. And this is a shot from the angle of the host sees. And of course, you can see a lot of monitors there. Um, the vMix system, of course, is over onto the right side. And then I have, of course, the other monitors that show Facebook and also the chat so that I can communicate with the host. I got a Zoom running as a backup on that particular one, and then some big monitors. And then, of course, that big camera sitting in the middle with the teleprompter is what the host goes from. The teleprompter we use, of course, to have him follow along with the lines and the various stuff with the ads that we run on the show. We'll do that. But the interview, of course, is live, so it just at that point it just says interview. So and then of course that is this one right there is a close-up of our main camera. And then what I did right below it, because I saw that Matt was facing towards the vMix monitor when he's talking with the guests. So I mounted a small monitor right below the camera, and then I configured vMix to show the guest on that bottom monitor. That way, when you're talking to the guest, you only have to move your eyes up and down instead of side to side. Now, of course, I'm not in front of the camera, I'm pushing buttons. So this is where I sit, which is also my living room. And my big TV, I act as a second monitor. And then if you can see the APC Mini sitting there, that's how I control everything. So the host just has to sit there and talk, and I'm controlling all the social media aspects of that and trying, putting everything together and pushing the buttons. I'm also talking to the host in his ear, so I'm telling him, okay, do this, do that, or I'm moving on something like that. So there's a lot of different stuff I've got. Now this right here is a rig that I put together for a live streaming on the ships. So it actually is an iPhone 6 with a Tascam connected for stereo input. Then one I've connected to a Rode mic and the other to a wireless mic receiver. Because it's very light, and I can also read, if I'm streaming live to Facebook, I can read what's going on in chat. And I can also now, thanks to using Switcher Studio, I can record at the same time to it, which was one of my big problems before. So I've really gone to this for just ease of use. I still have my big 4K camera, but that is a lot easier to use. This one is my 4K camera. I've got a JVC. It's a little heavier, and again, I've got a Listic teleprompter that's connected to the front, which uses cell phone as a display. So it's very portable, and I try to build these things up as I go along to try and make it very easy to use, because when you're on a ship, you don't know if you're going to grab an interview really quick by one of the people that have 10 minutes between their work or stuff or what. So I've got to be very flexible in what I can actually do, and the equipment has to work with me. The good thing about the JVC is that it can also live stream, and then my holder up at the top is for a cell phone, so I can plug a cell phone in to again monitor the system and just see what people are saying, and I can monitor the stream and everything like that. So that's basically some of the equipment that I've got.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the picture frame over your left shoulder.
Oh, the picture frame. Yeah. I wanted to be able to put in relevant pictures and relevant photos as the show's going on. So if I just switch back to that, you'll see there's video there from cruise ships. So what I did is, rather than just have a square hanging in midair, I took a picture frame, I took the glass out and used green cardboard just from the local Publix supermarket. They had some green card, and I use that as a green screen so that I can overlay stuff. But using a picture frame, it looks more natural. That way there isn't that big square that just suddenly appears in the middle of the picture. That way I don't have anything behind me that is green screen, but I still have the green screen ability.
I love it. I love it. That is so creative. And I mean, how did you get that idea?
I didn't want to do all green screen because I know we've seen problems with the lighting and getting it done correctly. And like I said, this is also my office, right? But I've got monitors sitting in front of me which will cast shadows. Also, I can literally touch the back here. That's how close I am. So green screening the whole thing would be very problematic. And I had no room. This is actually my home, my apartment that I live in, but I've converted half of it to a studio. So very small space actually. Um, so coming up with this was the best of both worlds. It gives me the ability to switch and make the background interesting and relevant without trying to go through the craziness of trying to green screen the whole thing.
Yep. Now, shifting gears just a tad, PTZ Optics has given you a camera as the award winner for the
Yes.
2017. And you're going to take the camera on your next cruise, which is just coming up less than 2 weeks. And you're going to set up a
yes.
24/7 camera that people watching from home can control and look at the ship. That is amazing. How in the world are you going to do that?
How are we going to do it? I have no idea yet. I've got an idea, and it might work. But yes, I've got this PTZ Optics camera, and it's phenomenal. I've been playing around with it here, and I've got to say the zoom is amazing on this thing. It's 20 times optical zoom. So that's not actually just stretching pixels, that's optical. So we're on Oasis of the Seas, and if anybody's ever been on this, it is a split hull design. This ship is massive. What that means is the middle of the ship is hollow. So they have these neighborhoods, and the balconies, you can have an inside or an outside balcony. We have an inside cabin, but the balcony looks over to the inside of the ship, down onto these neighborhoods. And we're over what's called Central Park. So imagine an upscale neighborhood park with like little bistros and stuff like that, and lots of trees and shrubs and winding paths. They have this in the middle of the ship. So I'm going to mount the camera on the balcony, but the key is we're going to allow people to be able to control this camera. So people are going to be able to go onto cruiseweek.tv, go to the watch live page, and they're going to be able to control the camera, move it around, zoom in and out on people walking around, stuff like that. Now, obviously, a ship is not really designed for that sort of control coming in. There's a lot of firewalls, there's a lot of stuff there that they make sure so that you're not hacking into the systems or sharing files with everybody else on the ship. So we've had to be really creative to figure out a way of getting that control back through to the ship. So in theory it works. In practice, we're not going to know until the 13th when I actually set it up. I've tested it on land, but until we try it with their firewalls and see, it should work, but that's all I can say.
That is so cool. I can't wait to try it. I can't wait to try it. Now, the other thing that caught my eye, and this is not something that you've just done. This is something you did a while back, but the USB control that you're using in your studio. Talk to us a little bit about that, because you're using an Akamai Mini, right?
I am. No. This is my controller. I've actually got 2 of them, so this is a beauty that I absolutely love. This is probably my favorite thing about vMix, is that it has the ability to use a MIDI controller. So this little device is $100, and it's a lifesaver. With this, I can control, of course, all the shots and all the audio levels through the MIDI, through USB. So I'm like, okay, if I can do this, is it possible to remotely control a show from another location? And I started playing around with it, and in the Streaming Idiots forums, I started asking people, hey, anybody got one of these? They want to try this idea. And we used a USB over IP program, which basically allows you to emulate a USB device at another end and send the data backwards and forwards over the internet. And I tested it as far away as Australia with somebody controlling my vMix from their place with almost zero lag time. So I would use a vMix call to bring them in so that they could see the output. And then I would use a program I use is FlexiHub, but there's various cheaper versions as well. Yeah, I use FlexiHub because coming up on the ship, I know it will go through a lot of the firewalls. So literally you put that on both sides, you connect it through a central server. So you don't need to know the IP address of the other side. You just need to both log on with the same username and password combo, and it connects them both together. Very easy. And then you literally say, okay, I want this, I want to control this USB device. Boom, it's there. And it worked. It worked really good. We're going to actually test it fully on this cruise because I'm going to be on the ship controlling the entire show with all the equipment apart from my laptop and my little controller board is going to be back here in the studio. So I'm literally going to be on the ship with my laptop, my controller, coming in on a vMix call, but controlling the entire show. Like I said, what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Indeed, indeed. So does that mean you have to have the same controller on each end?
No, you don't need the same controller at all. You just need the same software, the same piece of software. So I won't need one of these on the other end. Now I do have a backup of this sitting here on my desk, just in case, because if I do lose control, the host is going to be able to take control and change the shots so the show won't go down. But so far, the good thing about it is using two of the controllers, they mirror each other. So if I hit a button on one, both of them light up with that button control. So it's really good. So very, very useful. It's like an auto backup. Of course, when I'm doing the show, normally I'm in the other room and I have one, and the host has one on the desk because he can adjust his mic levels into his ear. And also I have talkback from there, so he can adjust my volume into his ear separately.
That is
if I yell at him
awesome.
too much, he just turns me down.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. Zac, I am so impressed.
Rudy in your chat room just asked a question for me. No problems with passengers not wanting this. No, actually, nowadays there's so many people. You go on a cruise, everybody's got their phones out, everybody's recording. I am obviously aware of passengers, and if you see them trying to hide from a camera, I'm not going to stick a camera in their face. But the ships are so big nowadays, and there's so many people with cameras that you almost get lost in the crowd. A lot of times we're focusing on doing a lot of interviews with the crew or the dancers, the entertainment people, or stuff like that, rather than particularly shooting other people. In fact, what we found when we did our first cruise week was that it was the opposite. We were actually having so many people just coming up to us wanting to be on camera. It was almost becoming a problem. And when we're trying to talk to somebody, everybody was absolutely loving it. So they were really enjoying, because they could then tell all their friends back home, hey, check this out and watch us on the ship.
Right, right.
It worked really good.
Oh, that's neat. Well, I hope you'll be able to stay around with us for just a few more minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And answer some questions in the chat room, because we've got a bunch of folks there, and in fact they all want to come with you on your cruise. so you'll need to get some names and addresses so you can send them all tickets, of course. Yeah, right.
There we go.
But Zac, thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show. You know, again, congratulations to you on the streaming awards and the PTZ Optics camera. Congratulations on a hugely successful show, and just know here that all the folks at Streaming Idiots are just cheering for you and cheering you on, and we're glad you've done so well. It's really great, really great.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a great wild ride, and I'm absolutely loving every minute of it.
Awesome. Okay, folks, Zac's going to stick around. So if you're watching us live, stick around too, and we will have him on in the post show. So don't go anywhere. Now, if you've watched this far and you're watching it as a recorded show, you need to subscribe. Obviously, you're hooked because we don't have guests as great as Zac every week, but a lot of times we do. So we hope you'll subscribe. We hope you'll visit easternshorebroadcasting.com and see what we have to offer there. Of course, if you need vMix, if you need a copy of vMix, we can help you with that. We're an authorized reseller and give all sorts of awesome tech support and encouragement for the folks that are purchasing vMix and other products from us. And if you're watching us live, stick around for a few minutes. Actually, not even a few minutes, just a few seconds. And we'll have Zac to answer your questions in the post show. Next week, August 9th, we've got William Warfield with Prep Spin coming on to talk about sports streaming. We also will have a couple announcements about new products. And I think we're going to have the ability to demo two new products next week. One is the Marshall CVC, or is it CV500? Anyway, it's an older version of the CV502 and the 505. Just a little teeny cam that may be a great candidate for a desk cam or a small studio cam. So we'll be playing with that on next week's show and in the post show. And then we also Howard Jones has been working furiously on the WIDA wireless HDMI video transmitter and has got it ready to release. He sent us a demo version. Hopefully we'll get that in time to be able to test it and have some footage for that on next week's show. So that's going to be really interesting. You'll want to tune in for that and for William Warfield with Prep Spin next week. So on behalf of the award-winning Cruise Week TV director, Zac Adams, I'm Tom Sinclair, and we will see you next time. Stick around in the post show. We'll be right back.